Hey, gang, this is Carl White. I am the co pilot in charge here today as we're circling the globe at the speed of light
Man.
here at the Lone Officer Freedom podcast. And it is another beautiful day in paradise as I'm circling the globe here with the pilot in command, Mr. Steve Kiles. How you doing, Steve?
Man, let's go. I like it. The visual is just man, it makes me feel alive.
Speed
We're
of
circling
light.
the globe.
Circling the globe at the speed of light. So,
Man,
which we are as you listen to this podcast,
that's
the
right.
signal is being transmitted to you literally at the speed of light. So,
That's it.
really cool. I was going to go down a bunny trail about the speed of light. I go back to my physics days, but I'm going to spare you of that. But let me tell you what I am going to do.
Let's talk about it.
So, I love our Loan Officer Breakfast Club Facebook group page. So I think I think it's like 18,000 as we're
Yeah.
recording this here toward the end of what is it, 2023.
Hmm.
There's about, I think it's 18,000, something like that, loan officers in there. Really super cool group. And I saw a couple things that I thought we could address.
Let's talk
And
through it. Yeah.
so, yeah. So the first one was came from a really super nice guy, by the way. He said, what's your best advice for me when a client who I did his last three loans uses another lender?"
Yeah. Hmm.
So
Is there any more detail behind that?
that's it. That's
That's
it.
it. Okay.
So
Okay.
all right. So if I said,
Hmm.
"Hey, Steve, what's your best advice to me when a client who I did their last three," and by the way, so we know no other details. So we're going to take some liberties here and use this as a training exercise for you as our listeners today. And this is not a statement of the super cool guy that posted this question. It got me thinking about a couple things. So, Steve, if I said, "Hey, man, what's your best advice for me when a client who
Yeah.
I did their last three loans, dude, they used another lender this time? What would you tell me or ask me?"
Well, a couple of things well, first off, I'd try to get more information, but just
Yeah. So
shooting in
ask
the
me, what would you
dark.
ask?
Yeah, okay. So the things I'd want to know is like, how did you find out that they used another lender? And so if somebody said, well, they were in my pipeline and we were working through the process and we got to the end and then
No,
they
that's
chose
so.
another.
I got another question. So let's put that to the side. So
Okay.
let's uh let's say I saw him at church and he told me,
Yeah.
which I'm just
Yeah.
making this up because I don't know that, but
Yeah,
I
for
saw him
sure.
at church and he brought it up.
Then I think about things like, did you follow the plan of what we do with our database? Were you calling them every quarter? Were you mailing them every month? Did you do and run the play to
Bingo.
keep top awareness, the brand awareness? And so that would be my first thing is, are
Yeah,
we
but Steve, he
yeah.
knows what I do,
No, see,
and I did his last three loans.
yeah,
How dare him? And I'm not saying this person said this, right? I'm just
sure.
this is a hypothetical situation. How dare him? Because this is the conversation that
Yeah.
goes in. I'm not saying this person's right, but in most loan
Most
officers,
people. Yeah, but they know what
this
I
is their
do.
conversation
Yeah.
is, dude, they know what I do. I didn't want to
Hmm.
be begging them,
Yeah.
and they used another lender. They know what I do.
So here's what I think about wet ice on wet ice. And if it's not top of mind awareness, what happens is they saw a house and a mortgage is a means to an end. And so what happened was somebody got to them or ahead of them before they thought about you again and calling you. And so your best shot in that, in my opinion, is staying top of mind and doing your quarterly check-ins with them because they may know what you do, but it doesn't mean, you know what they end up doing? They're like, who was that guy used? Man, it was a great experience 2 years ago.
Or I don't even think it goes that far.
Yeah.
I don't even think they go, "Who was that guy?" I think the agent said, "Hey, call Realtor Lisa. She's who I recommend," and they
And it
went,
was the
"Okay."
easiest thing. Yeah.
And yeah, and I don't think it was like,
Mhm.
well, I thought of, and I'm going to make up a name, Loan Officer Larry. Right, I just made up a
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
I don't think they went, well, wait a minute, we used Loan Officer Larry the last three times. I don't even think it goes that far
Yeah. It's
because that
really
was just
simple.
one of 10,000 decisions,
Mm,
literally 1,000 decisions they're making that day. Because
yeah.
we're making 1,000. Do I go to the bathroom now or later? Do I go get the glass of water now or later?
Yeah.
Do I
Yeah.
have breakfast now or later? What am I going to have for breakfast? And I don't even think it goes that far. It's a purposeful thought, but
Mm,
I think you're right. I think like the first thing I would ask this person, this loan officer Larry, is I would ask them, are you doing the past database plan, which consists
Mhm.
of calling them once a quarter
Yeah.
with a script that works, sending a snail mail out once a month with a
Hmm.
piece that pulls like a pack of mules. And then the email, if you have it, awesome. If you don't worry about it. But if you
Yeah.
have it, sending out that weekly email, which by the
Hmm.
way has nothing to do with mortgages, because they'll tap out and as soon as they close a loan. You don't want to be sending about the bear market and the bond market and candlestick charts, because they close a loan. They don't care. Like they don't care.
Morningstar patterns.
Yeah. They don't care. And so you have to think of things to send them other than
Yeah.
mortgage stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And I think if we're calling them once a quarter
Yep.
and we're doing our snail mail once a month and we're doing our email, the
You got a shot.
likelihood of this happening, not that it won't,
Yeah.
right? Because I could buy my last three cars could be whatever, a Chevrolet, and I go buy a Honda this time, right? It's going to happen,
Yeah.
but it'll happen a whole lot less
Yeah.
if the Chevrolet salesman
Is
is
staying in
calling me up
touch.
once a quarter
That's right.
saying, "Hey, how's that?" What insert in? I don't even know what Chevrolet makes these days, but how's that? Whatever. What do they make? Corvette. Let's just say Corvette.
Hmm.
How's that? How's that? How you enjoying that Corvette? Boy, have you seen the new models?
Yeah.
Boy,
Yeah.
aren't
Yeah.
they sweet? Or something
Yeah.
like that, like whatever that is.
Hmm.
And so likely, again, I'm not saying this in this case. Likely, when that happens, they're not marking to our past database, which is so critical. So the average, wrong way to say it. There's a famous study that how did you find your last loan officer?
This is good.
Number one is the realtor told me to use this person.
Hmm.
Number two is friends and family,
That's it.
which is why we're marketing to our past database so that we get referred to their, it's not their loans that we're doing. I mean, we're doing those loans, but
Hmm.
that the most loans aren't their loans. The most loans from our past database is their friends, family, and coworkers loans.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so working our past database, I think is a big deal. So
Hey, and those two combined, weren't they right at 67%? Like 35% was the agent, 27% was the sphere of
well, it
influence.
depends. So like if we did purchase business,
Yeah.
so purchase loans, it was 67%.
Yeah.
I used the loan officer, the real estate agent recommended
Yeah.
67%, right?
Man.
And anybody advise you to do something other than what
Realtor
2/3 do?
relationships. Yeah.
It's just crazy, right?
Yeah.
That's just crazy. Um, but on all loans combined, which includes the refinances,
Mm.
if I remember right, it was 35.
5, I think.
I
Yeah.
think it was 35%
Yeah.
real estate agent referred me.
27.
27
Yeah.
friends, family, and coworker referred me, which is our past data, but we're marketing to our past database. So yeah,
Yeah.
great question.
Hmm.
And again, not knowing anything about it, we're taking on some assumptions here. We just use that question as a training tool here to talk about to the masses. I got another
Hey,
one for you.
I got something
Go
to
ahead.
add to that too, because this just came up recently in my network. This happened. And so I think also if you're following the database plan, you're being consistent, and they still use someone else when they were in the process, I think of a couple things. One is make sure you're talking to the decision maker. I was talking with a loan officer here
Mhm.
this last week, and they had been working for literally 9 months with a past client who was newly married, and the new husband was the actual decision maker. So they went under contract under $1 million home, and the husband was able to go with another relationship because this loan officer has been working with the past client without asking, hey, when you guys go to decide who you're going to work with as a lender, who's going to need to be a part of that decision, just assumed, hey, they're a past client, they're going to use me.
Man,
And so that was a great lesson learned. It's like you got to be asking for the decision maker. And the other thing is, I think you got to go back into the closing for commitment. Every time you're walking through the process, the loan consultation, the pre-approved and looking, the 15-minute mortgage refresh, is there anything that would prevent me from being your lender? Because I asked the loan officer, I said, hey, did you get commitment? She said, no, I just assumed. And the assumption was multiple past client, been working with them 9 months. Surely they're going to stay with us. And the two things we could have done better was get to the decision maker and make sure you're asking for commitment every time.
Man, that's a great point. 'Cause I know in my household,
Yeah.
if you're speaking to me
Yeah. Me too.
about, no,
And
but I'm
talk to
being honest here,
Stephanie.
right?
Yeah. You got to
Yeah,
talk to
that's right.
Steph.
Yeah,
Wrong person.
if my household, if you're talking to me about
Yeah.
our family finances, you're talking to the wrong person.
Yeah.
that Maria is completely in charge of that, and has been for the last, I don't know, 37, 8 years.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, so you have to make sure you're talking to the right person.
That's a
Um,
big one.
yeah, that is a big one, who's the decision maker in the family. Um, I don't know. How do you ask that? Is that like,
Oh, just like I did. Hey, Carl, listen, excited to have you on the call. As you're making a decision with the lender you're going to choose, and when we move this forward, once we go under contract, who else needs to be on this call that's going to make that decision with you?
I like that.
Yeah,
Okay, I like that.
I think
So
it's a
that
cool
wouldn't
way to
be
do it.
that's not asking who's the decision maker. 'Cause
Yeah,
like
who needs to be on the
I'm
call that?
transparent. I'll say, hey, you're talking to the wrong guy. You need to talk
Oh
to
yeah,
Maria.
yeah,
She's in charge, right? So I have
yeah.
no problem doing that, but some people might feel funny about that.
No,
So
I
I
tell
like
them all
that.
the time. That's a great question. Wrong person. You need to talk to Steph.
Yeah, yeah, she's in charge.
Steph's in
Yeah,
charge.
I think that's
It
why
doesn't
we get
matter what
along
I
so
say.
well. Is our
Uh,
our our, our wives are the are
they drive it.
I love strong women, man. I do. I've
Yeah,
always
yeah.
surrounded myself at my office. I
Oh
surround
yeah.
myself with strong people, strong ladies,
Oh yeah.
and men too, of course, but I do. I work I think for me it came from my grandmother on my mother's side. My
Mm,
grandmother was a very strong lady,
yeah.
and my mother is and was a very strong lady. They were business owners, and boy, you talk
Mm.
about like for my
Pioneer.
grandmother, you're talking
Yeah.
about in a time where
That
hell, I
was
don't remember
not.
when they could. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that was not typical. And
Wow.
so my grandmother owned her own business, and my mother owned her own business. And I
Wow.
think watching them, it was very, yeah, it was,
Enlightening.
yeah, it was, So anyway, probably more information I need to divulge here. So, well, I had another topic, but I think we might have covered it on this one.
Man, that's great. Good stuff. I
Yeah.
think it'll help you close for commitment. Make sure you're talking to the decision maker. Follow the easy play by play step on how to stay connected with your database, which the typical result we see through our coaching members can be as high as 1 to 3 closings a month per 100 in your database. And so, Carl, we've got a boot camp coming up where what we're doing is also that's one of the areas that's real easy to implement because Carl, when you're calling your database, all it is the purpose of the calls to thank them. And then what you've got to do is just the way to say goodbye is the 3x3. Any friend, family, coworker looking to buy, sell, or refinance, can I count on you to give us their information if you have someone looking to buy here in the next 12 months? And I think when we understand the purpose of a database call is thank you, the desired result is a relationally referred lead. These calls are super easy. Nobody's saying, Carl, stop calling me. Oh my gosh, that jerk. I can't believe I got to hear from you again. They're typically surprised, like, wow, man, it's great to hear from you. And a
Dude, we were just
3 minute
talking
call.
to a couple
Yeah.
loan officers this morning
Yeah. He said he
that
called through 1,200 of his database here in a relatively short order, was already getting deals in the door.
a lot of deals, not just a few, a lot,
Yeah. Oh,
getting tens
yeah.
of thousands of dollars
Yeah.
from calls. Now he did say, I think he said he had 3 people say, "Hey, man, don't call me." Now most loan officers would hear the 3 out of 1,200
100.
and
Yes.
stop.
Yeah.
3, 1, 2, 3, not 300.
3.
3 say, "Hey, don't call me," and stop, and that would have kept them from helping all these other families, and then for his
Mm-hmm.
own family making tens of thousands of dollars
Yeah.
strictly by calling their past database. So very
Wow.
powerful thing. Hey, when you're ready to work on your past database and want to know what the scripts are, we'll walk you through that. Just go to freedomclubdemo.com, freedomclubdemo.com, and we'll walk you through. Not only will we show you where all that stuff is on the website, we'll actually give you all of the scripts. You can literally make screenshots of it and go use that all alone by yourself. Totally cool. Go to freedomclubdemo.com, freedomclubdemo.com. Don't leave tens of $1,000s on the table. Take that home with you with your family. You deserve it. freedomclubdemo.com. My name is Carl White.
And I'm Steve Kiles.
And we'll talk to you when you call in, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks again, everybody. Bye-bye.
See you.